Thanks for staying with us. Now, there's been mixed reaction to the announcement by former ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule that he is starting a political party. Well, he's confident, and he came out announcing this party in Soweto earlier today. And of course, there's been lots to talk about in this particular regard. And the party is now called the African Congress for Transformation. Let's now speak to Sysman Motloung, who's a political analyst from the Northwest University, on this. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Was this a wise move?
I think determining if this was a wise move or not depends on the expected success for this political party. And if we are to look at the prospects of that success following or preceding these national elections for next year, one would say it is wise in a sense of him trying to work on his profile or work on his reputation as a popular person, and you trying to bank on that. But then it becomes a bad move when you have to look at the kind of popularity that he enjoys. First, he talks a lot about having a good support from his hometown in Free State. But the question is, does he have a bigger support nationally? Even Free State itself, after he was expelled, there was not a big uproar in the province collectively. It was just that town. So for me, I would think it really doesn't make a big difference on the scene of our politics. It's just him adding numbers, but I don't see him making a big difference.
And it's interesting you mentioned the Free State, because it was going to be one of my questions. I mean, he talks about how he's been invited to a comrades assembly there by ANC members in the Vaal. That is expected to happen in about 3 weeks' time. And one then, would suppose, as you say, he's hoping that much of his support base is going to come from that particular province. And it's very little known what he's going to, do in terms of a dent at national level, if at all. But I wonder, though, given some of the political dynamics that we've seen in the province of the Free State in itself, is he likely, though, to still be commanding some kind of respect, if at all?
For me, before he announced this a few months ago, he was here in the Vaal, the most southern part of Gauteng. We are just neighboring Free State with Sasolburg and Parys further down. And this is where he comes from, Parys, and he looks at Sasolburg crossing over to Vaal. And for me, this kind of a support, he speaks about Vaal as a underdeveloped community, and he classifies it, I think, in my understanding, as one of that persecuted or really abused town that needs to stand for recognition. This is not a big support base for him. Vaal is a very deeply ingrained in the ANC politics. It belongs to ANC. And I think he wants to cut through that, and he wants to work with religious leaders in Sasolburg, in the Vaal here. And these are religious leaders who have also fallen out of favor. These are leaders who were closely aligned with Mr. Mbeki, with Mr. Zuma, but now they've also fallen out of grace themselves. This is now that club of people who have fallen out of grace. I don't see a big support for him coming from Vaal. I don't see much also coming from Free State. It will be a tough hill for him to climb.
And he's talking about this being a home for those who are weary and politically abused. And, interesting to see who was with him in the room this morning. But it's something else that I'm interested to talk about here, because he listed a number of things of what this party is supposedly standing for. The logo itself, what did you make of it?
I was interested in that communist logo at the top of the African map, the colors of the ANC. This is really testament of his background. And he wants to, I think, to communicate to the communists who feel maybe they are not represented within the ANC, or they feel that communism is a pipe dream. And I think he tries to say communism can still be alive. And he brings that element of the ANC itself. And then he talks about Pan-Africanism. He talks about like the dejected, this is the religious tone that's coming through. Like I said earlier, here in the Vaal and Sasolburg, he's been flanked by religious leaders. So he weaves in that Christian biblical narrative, I think, to try to appeal to the religious side. Other than that, you want to enjoy what he's saying in the abbreviation of ACT. It's like good, good party. Now it's the ACT party, even though it means something broader. So for me, in terms of political science literature, I want to classify him as a catch-all party. You see the text below the logo, it's ACT against that and everything. That is a problem in South Africa if you analyze the state of the nation. He throws in everything. So this is that catch-all. Anyone who wants to belong, I think this is the kind of a message it says I will be addressing. But now the test is, will he be addressing all those things? Those are a plethora of issues. And if he comes, will he really address those things? Some of the things that he has been implicated in has been a cause of. So you look at this person who wants to become a messiah all of a sudden. But this is a very intriguing development in our politics. It's very exciting to see how it will pan out.
And he also talks about this new cadre that he says is being endorsed by the DA that he claims is emerging within the ANC, and saying the ANC is different now and all of that. But I wonder, as you talk about those allegations, and yes, of course, that case is still going on in the courts, and we know what he's said about these allegations and how he's continued to deny them. But can he shake them off as he's hoping to win the voters in 2024?
I think prosecution will continue. He more or less will become like Mr. Zuma. Good for him now. This is his party, and the ethics committee there will not expel him. He will probably contest elections, and he will have a seat maybe in parliament. He's not convicted anyway, but the indictment will not go away. So he will have to maybe go through it the next 5 years or so. It is something that he will always be accountable for. Eventually, until maybe the verdict says you are not guilty or you are guilty, we will have to wait for that process.
It's going to be interesting, as you say, to see then what happens in the lead up to the election and even post the 2024 elections. Thank you so much for your time. That is Sysman Motloung, political analyst from the Northwest University. Let's stay with this particular theme. It's our question tonight. What are your thoughts on Ace Magashule forming his own political party? Let's take a look at what you are saying. Furuvelo saying one thing for certain is that he's going to chow on ANC votes, and the chances of the governing party to be below 50% is more likely to be realized. Tepiso, seems like everyone who was for Zuma is now starting a political party. They all desire the top job. Crazy, isn't it? Bongani, best move ever. Moreover, Ace has just got myself as a new member for the Ship of Freedom. To Ace Magashule, let's act accordingly.